Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Arizona and happy Thursday. I actually checked that 3 times this morning to make sure it was Thursday. And boy, have I got a lot of stuff to cover today. I've been doing some research and some digging all morning because the more questions I have, the more answers I need. And this channel is designed around helping you to understand this crazy real estate market and knowing what numbers to look at. But every once in a while, you look at a number and it still doesn't make sense. So that's what I'm dealing with this morning. Met an interesting guy who works for a German company last night, and he coordinates shipments of cargo on ships, and he works from home. So we started talking about the work from home environment. Do we think that that's going to go back to the office because maybe there isn't enough productivity with people working from home? And he had a great answer. He goes, they actually did a study at their company of the productivity that they may be losing when they're working from home is still not as big of a loss as the productivity that they don't have when their butts are stuck in an airplane or they're commuting or they're sitting in meetings. There's so much more productivity at home. Not only that, the cost savings was so huge that everybody got a new iPad, everybody got a new computer, they bought their cameras for the Zoom meetings, and he said that he just doesn't see that trend going away. Now, there's some companies that are trying to pull people back into the workforce, and they're reaching some opposition because some people have been sitting around for a long time thinking, are they going to let me work from home? Can I finally move to a smaller town? And they're quitting, going, fine. You can't make a decision. I quit. I'm going to go move to that other state, and I'll find work somewhere else. So interesting times. The other thing that I'm seeing right now is that we are economically, I think we're reaching a period of scarcity in everything. We had those meat packing plants that were hacked, and now everybody's running out buying beef like crazy. But you walk around the grocery store, you're still seeing empty shelves. And we got into that conversation with this guy last night about cargo ships. The cost of shipping on cargo has gone up like 10 times. And he says, but they have to prioritize what is going to be shipped. They've got all these products that need to go on cargo ships and come to the United States. They're now having to say, well, that one's not an emergency. We'll put that in later. Computer chips, maybe later. So he says they have to prioritize all this, and it's getting really, really interesting. And when I mean an economic scarcity, I tried to find a place to camp this weekend in Arizona. Every campground is full. You can't even reserve anything until you get out like late August. And it's like that across the country. Everybody wants to get out right now. They're just been cooped up and they want to get out. I finally found a campground in Prescott, but for one night. I want to get out and test my new trailer. So it's frustrating. Got some numbers for you. I've got some other statistics, but before I get to that, I want to answer a question. Nice subscribers here that have their question up for us to take a look at, and it's regarding selling a home in Central Phoenix. And the question is, question of the day. I like that. That means I'm going to get a question every day. Now, tomorrow we're not on until 3, Esther and Jimmy. Said, we received an offer above comp, off market, cash offer for our home in Central Phoenix, and are iffy if we should list our house on market. My thoughts? Central Phoenix home, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2,300 square feet, completely renovated. Not sure if the market would bring in more for our sale. The offer we received is already above comps. Short answer, you've got an offer that came in and your house wasn't listed and they put it above comps. Everything's above comps right now. Imagine how many more offers you're going to get when you have more eyeballs on it. I think the short, easy answer is yes, list it. Because when you list it, you're going to have people from all over the country viewing that home. You're going to have cash offers coming from multiple states. You got to make sure your photographs are good. You got to make sure that you got the virtual tour. Now, I live in North Central Phoenix. I don't know what part of Central Phoenix you're at, but 4 bedroom, 3 bath homes kind of rare right now. So that 2,300 square foot home is a sweet spot in this market. So if you're already getting an above comp, and I don't know what you're using for comps, but if you're getting above comp offer when you didn't even say, hey, we're for sale, then you're going to get multiple offers. There's just absolutely no doubt. That's a no-brainer for me. I'd say list it, and you'll be done in a couple days. So it's crazy out there. Bar Strong says we are shipping 3 cars back from Europe. I'll let you know how long it takes them to arrive in Arizona. They're going to be obsolete by the time they get here. They'll be antiques, but they'll be in great shape. So you'll get them over here and they'll go, wow, I haven't seen one of those in decades. Let's put it on the market. So when I look at my numbers here, we have 4,815 listings today. They'll start to climb up as we go through the day. They'll be above 500 or 5,000 tomorrow. We have 3,972 homes go on the market over the past 7 days with 3,518 under contract. That's a difference of 454. But again, that's Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to show you, I've been tracking this way back since September. I want to point out a couple things here that I see. Way back September 14th, and I don't hit it every day. So what I do is I look at new listings here, back on market. That gives me total listings. And then these are how many are under contract with backup offers, contingencies, and pendings. Take a look at this contingency. And a contingency is they're giving you an offer, and Esther and Jimmy, I'm gonna come back to you in a minute. They're giving an offer that's contingent upon the sale of their other home. That number was going around 163 to 173, right? We go down to this week, that number is shrinking, 76. People are not willing to accept contingency offers. So we've got 1,263 are under contract accepting backups, but it's always a far larger number of homes that are just going straight to pending. They're not even worrying about accepting backups. Now I hide this column and get up to our graph here, and you can see that you've got the yellow line of homes that are under contract, and these are the available listings. So I want that to continue to be a blue wave. But one of the things that's interesting that I read yesterday was that from the CEO of Redfin was that there's a myth that it's an inventory shortage that's causing price increases. And that kind of puzzled me. But he was pointing to San Francisco, saying their available inventory has risen by 77%, and yet prices are still going up. Now, 70%, 77% increase. Does that mean it's still not enough to meet demand? So there's no answer to that. We're just going to have to watch and see what happens. It's going to be very, very interesting as we get through the rest of the year, because we know that on supply and demand, that if supply goes up and demand doesn't catch up to it, the prices will at least stabilize. So I kind of have a disconnect on his thinking, but he's way smarter than I am. So let's see. We have Esther and Jimmy. We're not sure if the market would bring in more for our sale, as the offer we received is already above comps. We are, let's see. Where was the offer from, if not in the market? And Mr. Nobody asked that. Love the comment on the card. Yeah, that's interesting times. Okay, let me take you back some other stuff here, folks. We've got a lot of things going on. I started going back and looking at Investopedia that was showing the truth about the real estate market. And as everybody was trying to make a correlation between inflation and housing, I said, well, is there anything that compares the two charts? And I really couldn't get anything. And this is an older article, but it shows the average sales price of houses sold in the U.S. But then they also make sure that they mention that, back here, the average square foot was about 1,000 square feet, and now it's, up to 2,300 square feet. So not only did prices go up, but the houses got bigger. And here's the crash, boom, right down there. Here's where we're at right now. So I suppose if we stayed on this normal trajectory, we'd be, slightly below where we are now. Average sales price sold by region. And what's interesting, here's their opinion that they had before 2020 and 2021. It's too soon to tell what will happen to home prices in 2020 and 21, but if history repeats itself, we can expect a drop in home prices as a result of the COVID-19 recession. As of March 2020, purchase contracts started to fall amid mortgage troubles, a lack of buyer interest, and even a decline in available appraisers and other professionals to execute the transactions. At the same time, potential construction changes and delays have become very real concern. Again, it's too soon to know what will happen, but it's possible that new starts and renovations will take a hit into 2021. That's not what happened, is it? That's not at all what happened. It was like the opposite. So we ended up with prices going up in May. As soon as people figured out that they wanted to get out of their apartments and get their own place because of all the restrictions, that's when things took off and went absolutely bonkers. Now, right now I want to show you a slideshow here. Try and pull this up and show you, talking about forbearances. That's the big number that's going to come in, right? Will it be raining homes and forbearance ends? Because this month and next month, that's when this is all going to take place. So I'm getting this directly off the Cromford report, so kudos to them for getting that to us. And this is about a month old, but as of April 20th, there are 2.3 million, 4.4% of mortgage holders in COVID-19 related forbearance plans. 280,000 expirations remain on the books for April. There are also 435,000 expirations due in May, and then a big jump to 890,000 due in June. This will mark the last big month for review. So as you know, in forbearance, people have the option of rewriting their notes. So what are they doing? Upon exit from forbearance, 50.8% are paid in full. They just made up the difference. 33.6% worked out a repayment plan, but 15% are still in trouble. That's approximately 7,176 per state average, maybe. But what does that roll down for Arizona? Well, let's say that 8,000 homes come on the market now. That only puts us at 13,000 homes. But I think they'll be gobbled up as fast as they get here. We're looking at delinquencies by state. You can say that Arizona is not showing up there at all. Looking at pre-foreclosures, this is where we were back in the crisis, and it's not even, there isn't even a line down there right now. So it doesn't look, again, as we take a second look at these foreclosures or these forbearances, that's going to be a big issue. The other thing that we're looking at, and I'm going to go back to the screen here again, is the share of renting households behind on rent. This is an older one, but it shows that Arizona is less than 14%. Nevada, 19, California, 19. So how many people are really going to lose their, get booted out when the moratorium expires? Again, that's an unknown, but that's a number that we're going to watch. I have a comment here. Should my wife and I put down 5% on our home and keep our money in our Roth IRA, or pull a lot out of our Roth IRA money out and make the 20% down payment? Boy, that's something I'd ask your accountant. I couldn't tell you if that was a good move or not. There's a lot of people right now that are going ahead and they're putting the 5% down and they're paying the PMI. And with the acceleration of the values of the homes, they're going back in a short time and having the house reappraised and trying to get the PMI removed. Something to consider. But again, I would just take that up with your accountant and say, hey, what's the best move? Because you may or may not have a tax hit on your Roth. I don't know. People are really trying to figure out creative ways to get into housing right now. So that's something to look at. Zillow. This is interesting. I just bumped into this article, but I wanted to share it with you. Zillow power buyers and the challenge of attaching mortgages. Zillow decided that they were going to get into the mortgage business. They bought a mortgage company because they figured that if you were selling their house, you're selling your house to Zillow, they estimated that 75% of those sellers were going to use Zillow mortgages to get their other house. And then they would make all kinds of money. So how did that go? It didn't go too well. Here's the mortgage attach rates. Home builders, 75%. You go into Pulte Homes, they want you to use theirs. So that's what's called attaching. It's sticking. 75% of buyers go in and they use the builder's lender. Zillow's goal was 33%, it said. Industry average is 20%. Zillow got 1%. Zillow's goal of originating 3,000 loans per month or 36,000 in a year remains highly aspirational. But the interesting thing in here is it said that, oh gosh, I got to find this. Let's see. Ironically, Zillow is attaching more mortgages to open door owned homes than it is to Zillow owned homes. Just let that sink in. What they're saying, excuse me, is that somebody sold their home to Zillow and then they used Zillow Home Loans to buy an open door home. Two direct competitors. So of the mortgages that they were writing, they were buying their competitors' homes. I just thought that was funny. Maybe that's just an industry inside joke and nobody else is going to get it, but I thought it was great. Looking at June, and I was talking about this again yesterday, is that in June, all of the numbers are resetting. You know, the forbearance number is going to be the highest number at the end of June. You've got the rent moratorium. I don't see them extending it or expanding it anymore. I think we have 29 states right now that have eliminated the extra $300 for unemployment. So people are starting to go back to work. And all of this puts more and more pressure on inventory. I thought we'd start seeing an increase in July on inventory. And I'm not seeing any ounce of an increase in June yet at all. June is usually, June and July is usually when our market in Phoenix starts to pick up, believe it or not, even though it's hot, because people want to move before school starts, and school starts here at the end of July. So not seeing it, not seeing anything that's going to give us any relief anytime soon. So, but there's a lot of chatter out there that we're at the very top of the market, but there's no data that shows that anything is moving outside of that. There are also some theories and thoughts that say, you know, we may be this way for a long time. You know, this could be a generation of scarcity. So you name it, it's in short supply. And how long is it going to take to shake that out? I don't know. I wish I did. I wanted to show one more thing before I go. And that is, you hear me talk a lot about putting listings together and clicking the one button to get your house on all of the other websites. This is what an agent has to do to fill out a listing. You got to put in the price, the status. So you've got all this information here that you see in this pink section. And here's the directions. And then you have the details here, everything that has to go in about the house. You name it. I mean, it's on and on and on and on. All these little boxes that you have to check. Does it have a fireplace? Doesn't. I don't expect you to read this, but utilities, who are they? APS, Southwest Gas. Are you a public sewer? Are you septic? Landscaping? What's it like? But then after you get all this, then you have your showing instructions. Permission required to show? Yes. What kind of lockbox is it? Then you get over here to broker distribution. Boom. You have the option. The seller directs a listing to be excluded from the internet. Why would you do that? Seller directs the address to be excluded from the internet. Seller directs listing not to be listed in AVMs on the internet. This box is checked because that's kind of like the Zillows of the world. People can go in and see what your house is worth. And so when it's listed, they don't want anybody to have the ability to go in and do, their own estimates on the value of the home online. So, and then seller directs listing not to allow comments on the internet. So if you end up on somebody else's website, you're not allowed, you don't want anybody to make comments about the house. That's a crappy yard extra, And then we want it to be on IDX. And here's what I was talking about. All of these are just by default, they're already clicked. Realtor.com, HomeSnap, Homes.com, Nighthawk, Apartments, Open House Direct, Showingly. When IDX is checked, it feeds out to all the other websites that show real estate. So when an agent comes to you and goes, well, I can get you on 200 websites. Well, yeah, it's all right there. It's easy to do. So, but I just wanted to share that with you and say it's not that big of a deal. And to remind our subscribers that if you are looking at buying and selling, I do offer discounts on closing costs. I give you a closing cost credit for listing your home and for buying a home. It comes right out the bottom line. A lot of buyers have been using it to purchase a home warranty. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, my buddy Pat and I are going to get on. We're going to do a little deep dive into lending and rates. The bond markets have been very, very stable. So rates haven't really done anything, but there's some funky stuff going on in the overnights with regard to repo spending. Very complicated process, but there's some trouble brewing in the banks, and the Fed has to jump in and try to find a solution. I'm going to see if Pat knows anything about that, and I'm going to do some more research on it as well. So in the meantime, have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.